The Texas coast is special to me, and my family has made countless memories there. This spring, it's time for you to do the same in Port Aransas. It's a place where family traditions naturally unfold, and you'll find beauty in the island views while taking time to relax between adventures. Just one visit, and you'll see why generations of Texans have anchored their traditions to the island life. Start your new favorite family tradition in Port Aransas, Texas. Plan your visit to Houston's beach at visitportaransas.com. Today on CityCast Houston, you've probably seen them parked at bus stops or left behind at the edge of a parking lot. Abandoned shopping carts. They might seem like just a nuisance, but dealing with them is more complicated than you think. I'm talking it through with Ryan Nickerson, the Houston Chronicle's quality of life reporter. It's Tuesday, April 15th. I'm Raheel Ramzanali, and here's what Houston's talking about. Okay, Ryan, there are so many different things going on in Houston, so many issues. We've got a budget crisis, we deal with natural disasters, and so much more. So why are stray shopping carts, this minor issue, such a big deal?
That's a great question. I think it's because it's something that we can see in our everyday lives. And it impacts people's quality of life here in Houston. The way this story came about was because when I started this quality of life beat at the Chronicle, we wanted a way to solicit direct reader feedback and write about stuff that they really wanted to know more about. And one of the responses that we received was this reader in the West Chase district who asked me about shopping carts. He was like, why is there so many shopping carts everywhere? And as a native Houstonian, this actually spoke to me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you remember, but a long time ago, there was a Fiesta in what is now the Ion. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
Yeah. And besides that, there was like a homeless encampment with a lot of stray shopping carts over there. And I used to live over there. And I would wake up and there would be 2 or 3 shopping carts just outside of my apartment. And it was just something that I've always wondered about myself, like who's going to be picking this up, you know? And now I finally got to investigate it.
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, after I read your story, I was like, oh yeah, West Chase has this huge issue with shopping carts. Midtown used to have a huge issue with shopping carts. And you start tracing it back, you go, oh yeah, I always see that bright red Target shopping cart on Westheimer, because I used to drive into work using Westheimer, and I would always see these shopping carts. And I'm like, why aren't people cleaning these up? But there is a direct impact to the quality of life as well. How is that?
Well, so not only do shopping carts clog up roadways or, they carry debris and stuff, but I think it's a symptom of a larger problem of people not having adequate transportation in Houston and having to carry groceries from the store all the way home and then being too tired to do anything about it. And so they just leave it where they can. And so, not only do they cause environmental problems, but they're just not really good to look at,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that's a bigger problem than just the immediate sites that you might see.
But Ryan, other cities that are more based around walkability, right? Like let's take New York, for example. All right. Everyone walks, they take the subway, and you see everyone, they have these little luggage carts where they will put their groceries in, and they don't have this issue, right? Like it seems like it's such a Houston thing because of transportation, as you mentioned, right? Some people don't have access. Is it as simply as like buying them these luggage hauling grocery things? Like, is it just that?
It could be. And a lot of these solutions that the city leaders have thought of exist in places that have been historically disadvantaged. So when you think about, Gulfton, Acres Homes, lots of places where people just don't have cars. And so they have set up and have worked with businesses to try and tackle this problem. Some of the solutions include fines for stores that have failed to keep track of their carts. But that requires a city ordinance, and there's currently no city ordinance in Houston for that. Other places have worked in trying to develop portable shopping carts that you can break down and return them back to the store pretty easily. They're doing that in District J. It was like a pilot program.
How did that go?
It's currently discontinued.
Yeah. And I was like, so you're going to take home a shopping cart, break it down, bring it back to the store, and then take it back again. It sounds confusing. And then like on the business side, this was an interesting thing for me. These shopping carts, they're not cheap. You know, they cost money. Like let's put a price tag on this, right? Let's say they're $100 each, right? For the store to have, 25, 30 go missing in a month, I feel like it would impact their bottom line and they would actually want these back. But in the West Chase district, when officials started rounding these up, taking them back to local businesses, they actually didn't want them back.
Right. Yeah.
How does that make sense, Ryan?
I don't know exactly why they don't want them back. But it is interesting where the West Chase district, they have a whole management team to beautify the area. And when they gather these shopping carts, instead of returning them back to the businesses where they own, they put them in a warehouse and eventually take them into a city depository. It is interesting to know why businesses don't want return shopping carts. I don't know, maybe that they're like broken down by the time they get back to them, but it is an interesting conundrum for these city officials.
When city council put that program out, they piloted that program where they're rounding up these carts. How many did they round up?
Over a year. This was in 2017. They rounded up more than 4,500 carts. And this was just in 2 city council districts.
Okay, so there's a huge economic impact here, right? Like one on the business, because it is adding a cost to them if carts go missing. 2, on the city, because you have to do something with these. So this is like actually impacting us financially as well.
Yeah, and it's tricky because you also, in order to do this, you have to pay people to round up these carts.
Yes, great point. I didn't even think about that.
And so that's one of the challenges that District J is facing right now, is, who are they going to pay in order to keep rounding up these carts?
Ryan, could you remind me where District J is exactly?
Yeah. District J is sort of like below the Galleria area. It includes parts of what we think of as Bel Air, although not technically in the city of Bel Air, so it's kind of confusing. So parts of Bel Air, parts of Sharpstown, and Gulfton, so a heavy immigrant area and a place that doesn't have a lot of tree cover and not a lot of sidewalks.
None.
So when people go to the store and having to take these groceries home, it's kind of understandable, is it not?
It is.
For a lot of people to just, leave their shopping cart where it is.
Yeah, it really is. So I get like both sides of this. I understand like it's hot, especially in the middle of the summer. You don't want to carry 9 bags each, right? And you have to get your grocery shopping in. You need to get them home. You're tired, you're exhausted. I don't want to do this. I totally get it. And this problem, with the shopping carts, we see them all over. I'm also wondering, like, is there a link to the city's illegal dumping issue that we have? And then also these shopping carts. Does city council ever talk about that, like the link between the two?
Yeah, they have considered abandoned shopping carts as a broader symptom to illegal dumping, which is funny because when I wrote this story, I contacted the city of Houston's trash and recycling center. And I was like, hey, have you guys, noticed any trends with abandoned shopping carts? And they're like, shopping carts? We're not dealing with shopping carts right now. We're dealing with, actual like real illegal dumping. Shopping carts are really managed by management districts and city council members. But from the city of Houston's perspective, they have such a larger issue with illegal dumping, which is something that I am hoping to tackle in future stories. That they're not really totally laser focused on abandoned shopping carts.
It's funny, if you put a Houston bingo card together of things you would see on the side of the road, you got to put like a random mattress, tires because of the illegal dumping, shopping carts.
Those signs that are saying like auction off like Mercedes and Rolexes.
Yeah, those random signs. Hey, I can help you with your taxes. And you start thinking about these things, they slowly add up. And there is something to your quality of life, your investment into the city. When you start seeing these abandoned shopping carts, the illegal dumping, those signs, it just feels like you don't care about the city, right? Like, it's like, well, that person's doing it, so I'm not doing it. I know this is going more on the bigger impact of these things, but it just seems like it does impact the entire city in that, like, we just don't care, and it's like, if they don't care, then why should I care?
That's what it seems like. And I would like to point out that when I did interview the West Chase Management District, they said that a lot of people who live in and around West Chase don't actually live within the zone that they're picking up these shopping carts. So when they see a shopping cart and they live near West Chase District, they think, oh, it's an indictment of all of West Chase District, but it's actually somebody else. And so it could be a challenge for residents to see who is the person in charge of picking up this shopping cart. Am I in a specific district that is going to pick up this shopping cart? Who do I contact? And it can be a real challenge for people. And a lot of people just end up not doing anything about it. And the shopping cart just stays where it is in perpetuity.
One last thing on West Chase and just businesses in general, right? Like, what role do they play here, right? The grocery stores whose carts get pushed away, or the big box retailers, their carts get left in the street. Why aren't we placing more responsibility on them?
It can be really tricky to work with businesses. Some businesses like Fiesta, like I mentioned earlier, they do employ people. Because I remember when I was living near the Fiesta, they would have just a guy in a truck go around and picking up shopping carts and putting them in the back of the truck.
Oh, wow.
Now, when that Fiesta was gone, nobody was doing that anymore. But there is a Fiesta in District J that is doing that. But it can be difficult to, have the Fiesta do that, have the Walmart pay somebody to do that, have the Target pay somebody to do that, have the H-E-B. There's so many different retailers. It can be difficult as a city council member to have like a cohesive plan and have all these businesses work together to make sure that, the shopping carts are where they should be.
Hey parents, I just took both of my daughters to Momentum Indoor Climbing, and at first they were a little overwhelmed with the massive rock climbing walls, but once they got geared up and started climbing, they went from nervous wrecks to confidently scaling walls in a matter of minutes. Heck, my 10-year-old almost beat me in a race, while my toddler just enjoyed trying. And check this out, your kids can do the same this summer at Momentum's summer camps in Katy and at Sawyer Yards. Momentum offers weekly summer camps for ages 4 to 16 years old. From beginners to experienced climbers, there's something for everyone at Momentum Climbing. Because in addition to rock climbing, the Momentum team has tons of other activities to keep your kids engaged. Plus, they have half-day or full-day options that fit your schedule. Save 10% on camp registration right now with code CityCast at checkout. Head to momentumclimbing.com/summercamps to sign up today, because camps do fill up pretty fast.
Hi, I'm David Plotz, the CEO of CityCast. We've all set health goals: lose weight, exercise more, eat better. But without a plan, those goals often fade. That may have happened to you. It has definitely happened to me. And that's where Prolon comes in. Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet gives you a science-backed, structured approach to stay on track and see real results. And now Prolon is upping their game with the new next-gen 5-day program, delivering the same science-backed benefits in a cleaner, more convenient, and more flavorful format. Prolon is a plant-based nutrition program featuring soups, snacks, and beverages designed to nourish the body while keeping it in a fasting state, triggering cellular rejuvenation and renewal. Next Gen builds on the original Prolon with 100% organic soups and teas, a richer taste, and ready-to-eat meals. Developed over decades at USC's Longevity Institute and backed by top U.S. medical centers, Prolon has been shown to support biological age reduction, metabolic health, skin appearance, fat loss, and energy. I've been doing the 5-day program, and I feel so much better. I really enjoy the tasty energy bars, the snacks and soups, and the fact that I can enjoy meals, even though the calorie count is super low. The flavors and textures are excellent, An olive oil snack here, broccoli and quinoa soup there, hibiscus tea, a yummy nut bar. It's got the benefits of a 5-day fast, but doesn't have the challenge of doing it with pure liquids. It's a system reset. And also, I know this sounds funny, but it's not. The packaging and directions are fantastic, clear and well organized and thoughtful. For a limited time, you can be first in line to experience the new Next Gen at special savings. Prolon is offering CityCast listeners 15% off site-wide, plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day program. Just visit prolonlife.com/city. That's PROLONLIFE.com/city to claim your 15% discount and your bonus gift. prolonlife.com/city.
Let's talk about the unhoused community. You mentioned those encampments in Midtown near the old Fiesta. How does this factor in to this problem that we're facing with the abandoned shopping carts?
Yeah, so a lot of transient people, they will put their stuff in shopping carts. I'm sure you've seen it. Everybody in Houston has seen it,
Of course.
and they live out of those shopping carts. And when they're done with them, they kind of just leave them where they are. I don't know how to fix that problem. I haven't spoken with anybody who knows exactly how to fix that problem other than to give them housing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you can't really stop them from doing that. Now, there is sometimes mechanisms on the shopping carts that prevents them from leaving the area, but it doesn't always work. And like I've seen it for myself. I go to the H-E-B in Midtown, and those shopping carts lock up if you try to leave the parking lot with them.
Yeah, they do.
But I've seen it happen where they still take them. They still take them. You know, you can easily like disable that. You know, and so it's not an easy solution.
I remember the old Auchan that used to be a huge grocery store off of the Beltway, right off of 59 Beltway. You had to put a quarter in to get your cart. And there was ways to trick it and you could figure it out, right? But stores have tried before to limit this, right? And it's one of those things that maybe it is just a part of Houston and we just have to get creative with these solutions. And you mentioned District J. Are there any other city council districts that do have a good handle on this right now that we could replicate?
Yeah, there is also District F, which is in the A-Leaf area, that has a cleanup team that is not only just removing shopping carts, but those bandit signs, like you said earlier, and tries to tackle illegal dumping. Other city council districts I've contacted just said, hey, just if you see a shopping cart, just report it to us directly and we'll see who can take care of it. So it really just depends on where you live and who is the governing body of that area.
Were there any solutions that didn't make your story that kind of caught your eye and you're like, oh, this actually could work?
Not anything that Houston is doing. One of the big problems is that Houston is such a large city, which is a common problem across Houston. The size and scope of it cause so much problems. But I think in LA, stores have to create a cart containment plan, or in other cities, they have fine stores that fail to retrieve carts after a certain amount of time. I don't know who is working on that, if it's any of the focus right now of the city. But those are possible solutions to making sure that shopping carts don't become just trash.
Yeah, it just seems like the solution is going to be a multifaceted approach, right? A little bit of, hey, go and get these carts, putting more responsibility on the stores. It doesn't have to be a fine. And this is just me thinking out loud. Again, these shopping carts aren't cheap. So if these stores can afford to lose them, then that means business is booming for them. So they have the money available to retrieve them, So it seems like there's a little bit of everything here. And these solutions, we're going to have to get pretty creative as a city, as districts, as community members, right? Just seeing is there another solution out there? It can't just be one thing, but you did mention transportation. It just can't be transportation as well either.
Yeah, it's an economic problem, transportation problem. And I think that it's also a grassroots problem. This isn't going to be solved by the city just, unilaterally doing something, it has to be brought to the mayor's attention. And in order it to be brought to the mayor's attention, it has to be talked about through city council members. And in order for a city council member to talk to it, they have to receive information from residents. So if residents aren't telling city council members, like, hey, this is a problem and we want you to talk to the mayor about it, they're not going to focus on it because there's, like you said at the very beginning, there's so many other problems that Houston has right now.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's just not a priority.
And if the mayor finds out about this, he might just take out sidewalks because he's like, hey, the way to deal with no shopping carts is just take out the sidewalks. I'm kidding, Mayor. I'm kidding. We had a bike lane episode that published yesterday, so it's still fresh on my mind.
Hey, CityCast. According to me and my calculator, you will spend more time this week between the sheets than you will at work. So upgrade your sheets to Cozy Earth. Luxury starts where you rest. I start my evening in buttery soft Cozy Earth bamboo pajamas. Then I dip into a Cozy Earth bamboo sheet set. They are silky and temperature regulating. Forget the 9 to 5. Prioritize your 5 to 9. Cozy Earth products will transform those hours into a sanctuary. And they take comfort seriously with a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty. Luxury should not be out of reach, so Cozy Earth is giving CityCast listeners 40% off their best-selling sheets, towels, pajamas, and more. Visit CozyEarth.com and use the code CozyHouston for 40% off because you deserve a great night's sleep, and sanctuary awaits at Cozy Earth.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
You know, let's talk about the bigger picture here. And I kind of hit on it earlier in this conversation, but I think a lot of this can be solved with just the love for your city, love for your community, and getting back to the fact that, like, when you leave a shopping cart, it does create issues, right? So why leave it there? When you illegally dump, it creates issues environmentally. Of course, you know, just looking at it, it doesn't look good. And then if other people do it, it just kind of like brings the community down. So there has to be this like love for your community. Like, no, I shouldn't do this. But that's something that like rewiring everyone in Houston, that's going to be tough to do, right? Am I kind of like thinking out loud here and like this makes no sense? Or is this something that people are talking about? Like, we just need to have more love for where we live.
Yeah, I think that it comes down to that. However, when you look at historically disadvantaged communities, and I was speaking to somebody in the Houston Department of Neighborhoods who works on cleanup efforts and tackles littering and stuff like that. When you look at historically disadvantaged communities, sometimes people feel like they don't deserve clean streets. They don't deserve cleanup efforts. You throw a hot Cheetos bag out of your car window, that's just your home. You know what I mean? And for it to look cleaner, they often feel like it's not deserving of it. And I think that is my personal opinion. I think that is a symptom of like poverty. And I think that it's like a issue that can be tackled through like top-down solutions.
Yeah, like major systemic changes, right? For the communities that are impacted by this, they're lower income neighborhoods. And if they hear this, they're probably like, I don't have time to do this. Like, I just work 2 jobs, or I'm exhausted. Like, I don't have time to do this. It's like, it's a small problem that we see, but it really highlights the systemic issues that the city is facing right now.
You don't see abandoned shopping carts in River Oaks.
You don't.
You just don't.
No, you don't.
And if you see a shopping cart in River Oaks, it's going to be taken away pretty quickly.
So true. It's so true. Okay, Ryan, who is ultimately responsible here to fix this problem? Is it city council? Is it the businesses themselves? Is it neighborhoods? Who is it?
I think it's the city who needs to talk with these businesses and work with them in order to make sure that there are solutions people have to making sure shopping carts get back to where they're supposed to be.
Ryan, you used to cover weather at the Houston Chronicle, and now, as I mentioned, you are the quality of life reporter in Houston. Tell me more about this, because that's such a unique beat to have, and covering things around the city. Like, tell me about it, and what other stories are you looking into right now?
Yeah, it's a really fun beat because I get to write stories like this and I get to solicit reader feedback. So if you go to the Houston Chronicle website and you have something, whether it's an issue or you have a question about city government, I have a call out form that you can fill out, and I might even reach out to you to interview you about it. So we have actually two quality of life reporters. I cover Houston quality of life, and we have a suburban quality of life reporter as well. And so if it's in Houston proper, I can cover it pretty much. I've covered everything from explaining how city government works to talking about what the community is upset about, whether that is bike lanes or street abandonments. I can write about littering, pretty much anything and everything under the sun. I think a lot of what I'm covering right now deals with transportation because your quality of life in Houston is heavily dependent on getting from point A to point B, and at any point in time in traveling from point A to point B, it can be an epic poem trying to get somewhere.
It can be.
And if you don't have a car, then the problems are just compounded. And so I think transportation becomes an equity issue. And I'm very privileged in being able to cover it. And it's really cool because, Houston is my hometown and I care about the people here.
That's amazing. Well, Ryan, I think one story should be you need to write about how if you're going 10 below the speed limit on your phone, you need to get into the right lane because that impacts everyone's quality of life when you're slowing down traffic.
And it can cause road rage, which I actually wrote about.
Yeah.
Which sometimes I'm a victim of myself. I'm not the best driver.
Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. That was a very interesting conversation. Can't wait to have you back on.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
That was Ryan Nickerson. I've dropped a link to his story on abandoned shopping carts and a forum where you can tell him what quality of life issues you're facing in H-Town. We know Houston has its quirks and unique problems, and we're digging into all of them here on CityCast Houston. So do me a favor and hit the subscribe button and share this episode with 3 of your friends who live on the West Side. Also, drop us a rating and review the podcast wherever you're listening. Want even more Houston news, happenings, and moments of joy? Sign up for our daily newsletter, Hey Houston, at houston.citycast.fm. Thanks. That will do it for today. I'm Raheel Ramzanali. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something new.
I think it's a symptom of a larger problem of people not having adequate transportation in Houston and having to slog, or I don't know if slog is a correct word, having to carry groceries